Everything all right? All the louder?
You can take a selfie.
Let me take it for you.
Go ride one, Miss Brookside.
I think you should ride number.
Man, I was number 4.
All right, so we
If I knew she would get hurt, I would.
Yeah. Your bones.
way too weak for my deep voice. I'll pick up better than that. But so we've already talked a great deal about priorities and what you're looking for. And so, like we mentioned earlier, those things are the same. Our priorities for breeding cattle, so we've got a set of 4 heifers out here right now. Our priorities for breeding cattle are the same as sheep and hogs. So the structure is the number 1 important priority. We're going to look at structure and cattle just like we would in sheep. So draw that same 45-degree angle from the top of their shoulder down to the point of their shoulder. If we have that, they should have a slight backward curve of their knee, and then about a 30-degree angle down their pastern again. Same thing as in sheep. Same thing with sheep out of their hip, a slight slope or angle to the hip. But again, we've said that the show ring with those hips at these levels we can get them without sacrificing some production ability of being able to lay down and have a calf every year too. And so we've got to walk that fine line, get them level enough to be marketable if we're talking about selling show cattle, and still be productive enough in terms of being able to lay down and have a calf every year. Again, if we have that correct angle, we have that slight angle of the hog again, and then a slight 35 angle down the pasture. Same thing with sheep in terms of volume, in the same place. They're the forerib and their center rib. Cattle you can see a little bit more evident than in sheep, talking about that boldness or that spring of rib. So in cattle, it's like in sheep, we want that rib shape or that boldness of shape to start up high as we can get it, and out the top of their spine there, and carry down really deep and really bold to the base of the rib as well. So again, we're going to look there at their forerib, those first 2 to 3 ribs there behind the shoulder, and then look at their center rib as well, where everything together is a total rib volume. And again, if they're wide made at the ground, they're wide, bold, their forerib, they should be wide enough back in their abdomen to have enough room for their intestines, for their guts to have feed, carry a baby, and that kind of stuff. Along with that, if they have enough width of the ground and width of the forerib, they should have enough width, like Andy was talking about, to have some muscle mass over their top and from behind. All right, so muscle is the 3rd priority. We already mentioned the breeding stock. Muscle is your 3rd priority. And then attractiveness is the final priority again. And along with that, Andy mentioned breed characteristics and those females and everything. And the same one thing I don't know if he caught on it or not, I may fail to in a note in the sheep section, but you're talking about females, making sure your females look like females, have some femininity. So like in cattle, female heifers have a little longer, more slender face versus a bull class. Those bulls, a little square, a little shorter face sometimes. And so they look feminine, they look female. Or they coarse-headed, short-headed, really bold-shouldered, those type of things all go into attractiveness as well. It's going to be the same thing as sheep and hogs too. Do they look feminine? Do they look like a female? Or do they look like a male or a bull or a male of that species? All right? Along with just the general phenotype, the general physical appearance of the heifers, a lot of times in our 4-H FA contest, we have data on cattle classes. We may have data on our classes as well from time to time, but historically, at least in the 4-H FA contest locally around here, more times than not, we have data on cattle. Most cattle breeds have a national reporting system to calculate genetic predictions, those EPDs, expected progeny differences. I'm sure most of y'all studying for your school-a-thon exams here at Expo have talked about EPDs. Those that show cattle and even sheep and hogs talk about there as well. And so we know what an expected progeny difference is. If not, I'm certainly glad to visit with you or ask your coach to kind of explain that to you a little bit more. But a lot of times we'll have data and genetics on these heifer and bull classes to help us to help us place the class or to go along with the placing. And so typically the kind of data you'll see is birth weight. And so do I want a high birth weight or a low birth weight on cattle? Low, right? Yep, so they got to get here. And so if they're a big and heavy birth weight, they may have a hard time calving, so we want a low birth weight. Apparently that's the control spot. We also may see a weaning weight. So you want a high weaning weight, indicates that animal has got some growth potential. A lot of times we sell cattle at weaning, and so we sell market cattle or commercial cattle by the pound typically. And so if you're selling at weaning, if they've got a fast, high growth rate, high weaning weight, it means more money. At the same time, you don't want these things to look like that ewe in that first class. We want some big frame, that's all they are, is legs and no rib shape. So you want them to have some growth potential, some weight, but still have some rib shape, some volume, some production about it. So you want that weaning weight to go along with being big body and their physical appearance. You may also see yearling weight. Again, you want that high. If you're selling cattle at yearling, if you're maintaining cattle to a feedlot and selling cattle out of the feedlot, on a yearling basis, you want the things to grow. Some long yearlings, you want the things to grow and have some heavy weight. When we get paid on that weight again. May also see milk EPD. So milk may be abbreviated MLK a lot of times, or it's spelled out. And so milk is an indicator of that animal's maternal ability. And so it's based off weaning weight of progeny, not necessarily actual milk yield, but based off that animal's progeny performance is an indicator of how much milk she may produce in order to make that calf grow. There's some other ones you may see when you get a little older, especially at the collegiate level. But those are typically the most common ones you'll see in the 4-H and FA level. Along with the data, they'll give you a scenario. So they'll tell you that you're going to use these heifers in some kind of certain situation to meet a demand of some sort. So maybe it's a purebred operation, you're trying to make a purebred progeny, trying to make purebred replacement heifers, replacement bulls, or something like that. It just kind of tells you what those animals are going to be used for. And so kind of use that to help you make a decision on placing. Don't rely on the genetics and the data 100%. Don't rely on phenotype 100% in those classes. Use them in tandem, use them together. They're there usually as a roadmap to help you find particular placing and be able to place the class a certain way. And so you may see that on both bull or heifer classes periodically in some of your contests. Also, we don't see them a lot around here, but we have some teams from out of state. You may have those in your contests more than we do here in Tennessee. But the market steers. So if you see a steer class, they may let you handle those steers. So you would handle them similar to how you talked about those market lambs, except we changed the vocabulary. Instead of calling it the rack, we call that same area the riddle. The loin's still the loin. In cattle, it's no longer the leg, but it's the quarter, the stifle, or the hip. And so you can talk about their lower quarter down right there above their hock, or you can talk about their whole entire round, whole entire quarter, or just thicker ended, are all good ways to describe muscle in those steer classes. And so if you see a steer class, priorities are the same as market lambs, priorities are the same as in market hogs. Muscle and fat ratio or composition, body volume, structural correctness, and attractiveness, all the same. So those priorities are always the same. So you always will keep those 4 priorities in mind. It'll make life a lot more logical when you're placing classes. Don't deviate from thinking about them too intently. More times than not, when we pull classes for you, we're not trying to confuse you or trick you. We're trying to make classes that are educational, that you can apply those priorities to make a logical decision. We don't want to make classes so illogical that there's no sense in placing them. Unfortunately, sometimes things don't work out that way. Sometimes classes don't come together like we hope for them to, and or you just don't have the quality of stock you want to work with, and you do the best you can. And so, does anybody have any questions about breeding cattle specifically, or market cattle, before we judge this class? All right. So these heifers are numbered on their collars. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is how we will number them in the contest later as well. So we'll give you a few minutes here, let you evaluate the class. So judge these as heifers. These are Angus heifers. If you want to call them Angus heifers in your notes, your coach will talk some races later. So this will be Angus heifers.